Hello, live streamers. It is me, Tegan Bartos, founder and managing director of Jolt Your Career. It has been a while since I did lives on Friday because, life, summer. And just like everything else in life, today I am starting the live a little bit late because we're having some technical issues. Quite honestly, I'm not even sure if they're completely fixed yet, but we're going to go ahead and try to get it right. So, for those of you tuning in, go ahead and drop a comment on where you're tuning in from so I know this live is working. For all of my tech clients, you're gonna laugh at me because you know me, all I know is how to unplug stuff and plug it back in and hope that it works. And it didn't work this time. But Restream is awesome. I'm sure they will help us soon. And she's in the chat now trying to help me, but I have no idea all of the questions she's asking. So for those of you who are in help desk positions, shout out to you. All right. Now that summer is coming to an end, I'm going to be on a live every Friday, 11 o'clock Central Time. I'm going to do my best to not have technical issues, but you guys know me well enough by now. I always start off my lives with giving kudos to clients because I'm so excited for them, one, but also for you viewers. You also need some motivation too because the job search sucks. And so I want to give a special shout out to a former educator who successfully transitioned into a DevOps role. 6-figure salary, which is really exciting after a 6-month bootcamp program. So kudos to you for making this big change in your life. I know how much this is going to impact your family. And then I also have another tech client who got out of accounting, y'all. I don't know if anybody's an accountant in the comments, but although I work with a lot of people in finance, numbers not necessarily my favorite thing to play around with. So congratulations to you and what this is going to mean for your family as well. For those of you tuning in though, probably might not have the best of news. You're probably thinking, well, I have much to celebrate right now because I'm dealing with all of this rejection. And so today I asked a very special guest to join me because she is not only a TEDx motivational speaker, she's also the owner of Why Blend In, which is a fantastic organization. If you have not watched her YouTube channel, get over there, subscribe because they're fantastic. And she's also a global leader in tech. So let me go ahead and see if this will work. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes! I don't know what you did, but you're a magician.
My husband is a magician. Let's just say that. Right? Like I was running on a single cup of coffee or chai to be honest. And I was like, he was on a call. I'm like, this is not working. Let's get this fixed. And I told you to fix this. And he's like, I was on a call with my CVP. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, that's a good excuse. It doesn't matter because we're here now. Let me turn off my little graphic because it's not just me by myself now, and I don't want my branding all over the screen. Okay, let me see if I can get this help desk out of my way for all of those you tuning in. You can't even see it, but that's all right. All right, so I am so excited. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for everyone tuning in, and I will, and then we can welcome some of the people who are here to hear you. And so, everyone, if you could please welcome Harpreet. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, you did. So here's an interesting fact about me. Harpreet. Harpreet means always, or it also means God in some faiths as well. And Preet means always liked by someone or always smiling. You can call it either way. So I always generally try to start with that. Yes, it's and I always joke it's a Harpreet there's 2 E's and there's R. So that's me, Harpreet Kaur. It's also a unisex name, so you will hear so many Harpreet. Males also in my faith have the same name, but I'm the only one with the turban or a crown. I say it, Harpreet Kaur, the girl with the crown, and I am a mom. I'm a mom of two. I am a product leader at Microsoft. I've been at Microsoft for 10 plus years. I've led multiple global products from initiation to delivery. I'm still there. That's my day job. And then I have a side hustle, which is, as you said, by Blend In, which is a career coaching, leadership coaching, as well as a keynote speaking initiative, which I took in a few years back after I felt like there was a real need for it. And then, as I said, as a mom of two, it just keeps, I am just, people ask me, do you have it all? I don't. It's just the juggling act of doing one thing from the other and bringing your passions to work. For example, after this, I have a meeting, so I got to run to that one, right? So it's always that context switching thing. But I've been in the industry for 20 plus years now, and I feel like I don't have it all. I am learning every day. I'm also an artist, so if you like, I'm not I need to get back to it, but I have my Instagram page, HK Abstract Art, where I kind of do my abstract art. And that's also something which helps me take out my, helps me in my mental health as well. So it's just, a way to kind of get all those thoughts out as well. So go connect with me on LinkedIn, or look at my website by Blend In, and we can probably have a conversation. Today we are actually going to be talking about something which is super super close to my heart.
Rejection.
So that's a little bit about me.
Yes, rejection. I mean, so let's say good morning to some people, and depending on where they're at, they may be even in the evening. So hello, Gregory, tuning in from Brooklyn. Hello, Teresa, tuning in from Pennsylvania. Hello, LinkedIn user tuning in from DC. Good morning, Maureen, who happens to be my massage therapist. She says it's fixed enough to see your beautiful faces. Yes, the technical issues are tuning in late. Raymond from Jamaica, hello. There's so many people from all over the United States and really the globe tuning in. And so we are all so excited to have you here, because the topic that we are talking about today is truly, truly, truly a universal topic. And that's rejection. And when I was doing some research about rejection, I came across a study that actually said, I've got it pulled up on my other screen. So the doctors placed people in MRI machines and then asked people to recount a recent rejection. And just the thought of thinking about that rejection lit up different areas of the brain that typically light up when people are in physical pain. And it hit me. Well, duh, yeah. Rejection physically hurts us, and it's backed by science with these MRI images that it actually the emotional pain of rejection, be that a small rejection or a really large rejection, it physically hurts. And so to keep us on time, because I know you've got to get to your next meeting and the tech issues kind of set us back late, let's dive right into it. What would be your recommendation for people to process rejection so they minimize that pain that they feel?
So Tegan, I will be honest in one thing. It is painful. Let's just be honest, right? Like, me stating it's not painful. That will be like, oh my God, right? Like, because let's just first acknowledge it, that it is painful. And as you just said, that there are researches which are going on, that it kind of elevates the same nerves when you feel that physical pain, right? Somebody punching you, or somebody pinching you, or when you're hit, right? So when we get physically hit, or when we have that physical pain, what do? We first acknowledge that. That's the same thing which we need to do for rejection. I think I wrote about it on LinkedIn as well. My journey started, I was always that always getting that A plus or A in all the grades, and anytime I would get a B and I'm like, no, this is not right, and I would pay, I would literally cry, right? And coming from a military background, that doesn't help, because my father was like always A, right? And so when you're hit with those rejections, that is really painful. And I recall when I did not get into my med school, because that's what I was aiming for, to become a doctor. I remember I sat in a room for two days, did not eat, and I was literally crying. Because we start thinking about is it's that this is done deal. I am rejected. This is what I wanted. Oh my God, I was working so hard for this job, and I didn't get it. And I say it's less about the destination. There are so many, and let's just put a plug right here. What are we going through right now in the tech world? There is a little bit of downward turn.
Yep.
Right, on LinkedIn as well, on other platforms, we are seeing there are so many let goes. There are so many layoff of employees as well, reduction in force, as we say it, RIFs, right? Not because of there may be business opportunities here and there which they're realigning, that's why. But in our case, we feel like that's a rejection. We always think about the destination, right? So the way I would say is, making sure first you acknowledge it, cry over it. That's okay. Sometimes my mentees, when they say, oh my God, Harpreet, I got the rejection, they're the email, we are so sorry to inform you, we regret to inform you. I'm like, okay, it's Friday today, cry it out. Again, you will say, as a coach, you're saying cry it out. Yes, because you got to let it out. If you don't let it out, it's going to get in your head, and then you're going to start having those mental issues, right?
Yep.
So I would say, take it out, acknowledge it, take it out, take a deep breath, go out of it, right, for a day or 2 days, come back with that rejuvenated energy, that it was less about that job, but it was more about, as I said, I'm cutting myself off. So many permutations and combinations which go in to get that one yes. Maybe you were not the best fit, and it's okay to acknowledge that. And it's less about you. If you make it about, it was more about that company or more about that person who didn't needed you at that very moment, then you can come back as rejuvenated. What was I missing? Reflect back on that. And remember, no, when you get a no or a rejection, no means next opportunity, right? No,
Absolutely.
it's next opportunity. And if you are getting that rejection, that failure, fail means what? The first attempt in learning.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
short, thinking about it, acknowledging it, crying it out, if you like to cry it out, or if you like to vent it out with your partner, with your friends, go out for a walk. And then, you can come back and journal and reflect back. In that moment, we are so emotional, we should let it out.
Yep. I see that so often being one of the challenges, depending on people's cultural norms or maybe gender stereotypes and things like that. And I think it's so powerful to feel it, not to bury it, but to feel it and then process that rejection and then try to dig into what it might have been so we can improve and move forward, especially in the job search. Because earlier this week, one of the recruiters who was let go due to these tech layoffs, she had wrote a post reflecting back saying that she essentially had an in at a job, right? She knew the team. She went through the interview process, thought she crushed it, and then afterwards didn't get the position, even though it was like a done deal. And she had reflected back and realized that she had rambled so much because she was overly confident that the job was hers, that she didn't sell herself. She had to forget that they were still investing in her and she still had to articulate her value. And then from there on out, she started crushing interviews, ended up finding a role at another company that she's so much more excited about. And so sometimes rejection gets put on our path to teach us something that we can then leverage moving on. And last weekend, I had a LinkedIn Live with a group of ladies who are either on their job search or recently were on their job search. And they all said, even though the rejection hurt really bad and it's terrible while you're going through it, afterwards, you're so much of a stronger person and know yourself so much better that in the end, it's a blessing in disguise. But in the moment, it absolutely does hurt. So one of the things that we were all chatting about is talking about how biologically ingrained in us it is for us to want connection. And so when we are rejected, it's so difficult not to take it personally because we that's just how our brains for a lot of us take rejection. I'm not good enough. They didn't like me. I'm not qualified, even though they are, in so many other ways. And so from why blend in to being a tech leader to being a motivational speaker, how can we take career rejection and move away from it being taken personally so we can move forward with action to ultimately achieve our goals? I would love to hear what you have to say on that.
Actually, and I will answer that. Before that, let me actually connect to what you just said as well beforehand, which is you get so fixated on the outcome. It had happened to me, like your recruiter friend, it exactly happened to me. Someone actually reached out. When you have that, as I talk a lot about the branding, you get pinged by people, right, all the time. And I was done, I was asked to come, that Harpreet, you are a best fit for this role. Can you come? We are just going to do a loop just for, like we got to get the things done. And I was so fixated that I've got it because, the hiring manager is coming and asking me to do this, a level 2 higher than me, and he's seeing that in me. Let's just go do it. And you become so confident that you lose that it's still an interview. So my guidance to you in that is, doesn't matter you've been referred, doesn't matter if you've got your key folks or sponsors in there, it's still an interview. Do not ramble. So I think, yes, we went a little segue. My guidance as a coach would be, do not ramble. I did that. I lost that leadership opportunity, folks, just because that was the feedback which came in, that she was just rambling. She was overconfident. It felt like she had it. And she was, rather than stating what she brings to the table, it was more about what are the things she will be doing, which is great. To be honest, looking back, which is great. That would have worked really well when I was in the job. I would have got that formal yes. You really need that formal yes, right? So coming back to now Tegan's question, the thing is, I will talk more about it. We get fixated so much on the outcome, right? When I am talking to my mentees as well, I want a job in mama. That's one thing. 90% of the time, most of my coaches or my mentees are in, they want to get into mama company. When I'm saying mama or fang, as we used to say it, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? That is great. I have been in mama for 10 plus years. Right? My husband has been, many of my friends have been. Grass is always greener on the other side. I love my role. Don't get me wrong. I am here. My views are from why blend in versus I'm not representing, my daily job here.
Right, of
Just to be
course.
fun, right? But at the same time, what you want, leave aside the outcome of company name. Yes, you really want that good culture, that good things, right? But what you want is good people. What you want is good team members. What you want is good culture. What you want is that you're challenged in that role, right? So let go of the outcome, really enjoy the journey. Think about that. Like, if I wouldn't have got a no, folks, from that med school, I wouldn't have gone into computers. My father wouldn't have pushed me into computers. I wouldn't be a woman in tech. Yes, we are a minority, but now we have taken up that opportunity to be that force multipliers. So sometimes, I think as people, as humans, we struggle with that fixation, that, oh my god, I didn't get that job, that's what I wanted, and we mess around it. Reflect back, understand that was my fixation. We get so attached to the outcome that we forget that the journey is going to lead us somewhere else. And guess what, like, even going back, I can look that within Microsoft also, I've been rejected so many times because it's not my single job. Every few years I try to challenge myself. You keep getting, it's the same process, folks. And so when you keep getting rejected, you kind of keep reflecting back, what could I do better?
Yep.
Right? Be it promotions, be it person, be it titles, be it, your own jobs. What we I think it's human nature and the way we have been born, that it's always been a destination, especially in my faith. Big car, big home, good husband, kids. What else do you need, Harpreet? Right? So it's about the ending, it's about the result. We've always been shown that, but it's in fact, it's more about the journey we take it, because once we reach that destination which we have put for ourselves, then we say, what next? And there will be rejections. Think about it. Like, I was actually, Tegan, when I was talking to you as well offline, right, last week or so, all the big folks, Alan, I shouldn't even take Elon Musk's name, but well, he is super, super, rich now and successful. Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey. We all know her story, right? Like most of us, how she was fired, how much she struggled, and see that. So if we keep thinking about the rejection, that I was rejected, it was painful, I did that, versus what did I learn and how did I move forward? Sometimes remembering that rejection is a redirection. It's our course correction.
Yep.
It's our course
Absolutely.
correction. And the another thing I say very much loudly, and I really, it's hard, here I'm preaching to you all. I will be candid here. Anytime I'm not promoted, anytime I get a job rejection, anytime I feel my coachees or my mentees don't get the for what we have prepped for, I cry. I do. I go to my prayer room and I cry, and I'm like, but we did this, but we did this. Why, God? Because I'm a human. I am a human, right? But then I come back and I say, okay, what can I do better next time? How can I prep next time? How can I change this about me? How can I be more self aware, right? Because every no, every no is taking me closer to a better yes.
Not only taking you closer to a better yes, but taking you closer to a better version of you, I feel.
Exactly. Because you've
Because
built that resilience, you've built
yes,
that perseverance, you've built that grit in you, right? That if not this, I'm going to try to, okay, I'm going to try to take that. The other thing is, we also take, when you get rejected, you get feedback. most of the times, right? Yes, I know in tech world we generally don't, but if you kind of try to keep the push, you will get something or the other. Even if it's not clear, get the clarity yourself and make sure that you're taking in that feedback right there and then. You will feel it's personal, other person is attacking you. Do not make it about yourself. Sometimes it is about the other person as well. Maybe they do you even want to work for a manager, for example, I'll just generically say it. If you were not promoted and there was a reason for that promotion and that thing was given to you, that feedback was provided to you, sometimes it may not be it may not be about you. It may be about the movement. It may be about the business at that perspective. They didn't have the budget. They didn't. So less about taking it personal, more about reflecting back on that there can be some other possible outcomes which may come to you in coming weeks or months or years, right? Another analogy in my faith we use about water, right? You hold it when you have it, you have the water and you try to drink it, right? But if you try to hold it very, very tightly, it will start slipping from you. That is the same thing, folks. If you keep the rejection with you, it will start impacting you. It's how do I move forward from there and get the better yes, right?
Yep. And what are some ways people can move forward? Because it's so hard to read the label when you're inside the jar. And when you're not getting feedback, because when you're on your job search, for example, internally they typically say, well, this person had more experience in this or whatever it may be. But when you're on the job search to an external company, oftentimes the policies is no feedback or it's really canned and you're not sure if you can really trust it or not. And so when someone is looking back and thinking, okay, I cried it out, I'm not going to take this personally. I'm going to think back and think, how can I improve in whatever areas I need to improve? But how do you even see what areas you need to improve at? Is it if I'm not getting the callbacks when I apply, well, then maybe it's my job search strategy or maybe it's my resume, right? You can tie those pieces together. But then when you're in the interview, so your resume good, your job search strategy is good because you got the interview you really wanted. So obviously the front work is working, but then you don't get the job in the interview or you're interviewing and interviewing and interviewing and don't get the job. When you're in the interview process, what are some tips that you have from going through all of your promotional interviews and rejections and things of that nature that people can try to do in the moment to try to figure out, to try to pinpoint where is it that I'm going wrong?
Yeah, the one thing I think it's less about the rejection now. It's more about, right, like once you are getting that right feedback where you're not able to nail it. One of the thing which I always say, again, there's a lot of permutations and combinations which need to go to get that yes. But what's in about you? Even if you're getting rejected, here's my take. Today you're interviewing, right? Let's just take one name. Like, I think Garima's on the call today, and she's one of my mentee, as well as, I work with her as well. Garima is interviewing, right? And she's got everything. Her resume is great. She knows she can nail it, but she still doesn't get it, right? In that moment, or when you're interviewing, what am I looking for? As in Mama Company or in Fang Company, the things I am looking for, I'm looking for that 50 to 60% fit. When I'm saying I'm looking for that 50 to 60% fit, I really want you to be deep in that technical thing, right? When I'm asking you a product designer framework, you should have that in your head. I'm not looking for the right answer. I'm looking for your outside in. I'm looking, as in Google, we say the googliness, right? I'm looking
Yep.
for that. The 40%, folks, is where most of us fail. It's less about the 50 to 60%. The 40% is about what you are going to be bringing to my team. Are you going to be showing that learning mindset? Are you going to be showing that authenticity? Are you going to be respectful? Are you going to be accountable? And the way I can get those vibes is how you're answering me. So one of the thing I always say is, and I'll be honest, I have been blessed. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. I have been rejected n number of times. I get pinged from the people I have interviewed and not got the role. And they say, Harpreet, how are you doing? What does that tell? That tells that even if you were rejected, you left a mark.
Yep.
How did you leave a mark? You stand out. I'm not saying standing out. When I use the my purpose, why blend in when you're born to stand out? And yes, I stand out because of my turban and the way I look. It's less about that, folks. It's about what you say. How do they remember that there was this person, even though he or she was not a fit for me at that point? That person is a fit for my this role. So what you want to leave with in that particular interview is, what are one or two things they need to remember? It can be your passion. You kind of somehow state your passion as well. It can be your resiliency, how you have moved mountains. When I say move mountains, you mean, right? Like, I'm
Yep.
using that as a, you're right. It can be how you were able to course correct something which was going haywire. It can be keeping the same, how you persevered. How did you build your resilience? Something that of that sort, which kind of they say, oh my God, that girl Tegan or that girl Harpreet, even though she was not a fit, she did that. So that's my feedback to, and that's my guidance to all of you. If you are still getting a no, again, I wish we all had the magic wand and you get yes all the time, but we don't. So when you are in that particular interview, 50 to 60% know the role, right? Today, if I go and interview for something like AI, which I have 100 level knowledge, but I don't have a 400 knowledge, and they need someone technical architect in AI, and I really need the job. I felt like I can do it. Then you show what you can bring in, and then you show how you will learn from your old job, how you were able to quickly learn something.
Yep.
I will be honest, Tegan, when I joined my current role, which is in Azure and Windows Server, I did not know it. I was coming from hardware. I was coming from Windows, but I did not know anything about server and Azure. I learned. It's learning on the job. If you can show that as well, that's how it. I hope that helps.
It does. And for the comments are blowing up with just fantastic feedback about how helpful this is. And for those of you who are type A who really want to take her advice, because I know you've got to run to your meeting, but for anybody who wants to make this actionable, something that you can do right now to take your job search to the next level so we're getting less rejections, is go on a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet or whatever you prefer, and track out all of those different competencies that the next role that you're hoping for really needs. And like she just said, even if you're not a perfect fit, show how you've learned in the past, that learning agility, that futuristic mindset, because especially in tech, it is not even invented yet. You just have to roll with the punches and figure it out. So that's very much so a competency that you need in that industry. There's so many ways that you can think of a story about what you've done in the past that exhibits how you think that that's transferable for what you want to do next. And then think about those answers. Maybe role play them with somebody else and make sure that you don't sound robotic, that you put your secret sauce on there so you do become memorable, so you don't blend in, you stand out, and your secret sauce, your swag comes out with, okay, everybody in this role has to do this. Take a project manager, for example. Yep, I have to manage stakeholders. But how do you manage stakeholders? How do you get those really difficult ones on your team? It's those above and beyond stories that you may not even know that are above and beyond because you're just showing up and do your job and you just happen to do it well, that you have to dig into and pull that confidence out, especially when you're struggling with rejection. Don't let those. My mom said, when I was in 5th grade, I've got a lot of learning disabilities and was really struggling to learn. And she wrote a letter for extra credit. And she said that my sparkle was dimming because I struggling so much in a certain area and was having such a hard time. But it was just as soon as I could get over that mountain of learning how to learn with my dyslexia, it was like a cannonball of sparkle went everywhere because as soon as I could live into like the unique way that I do things, then I was unstoppable. So everybody who's tuning in today, to move through rejection, find your sparkle and let it fly everywhere. Just make a huge mess with your sparkle, because when you show up to an interview or to, a sponsorship meeting or whatever it may be, when you can say, this is who I am, this is what I value, this is what I'm excited about, then the right fit will come, as long as you stay true to who you are. So with that, Harpreet, would you like to add anything else before we close out? Because I know you're running late to your meeting.
No, I still have 15 minutes, so we
Oh,
can,
okay.
I'm happy to answer. As you were talking, Tegan, one of the things which I talk to a lot of my mentees, and I will state it here as well, there were times, so I'm hearing an echo.
Oh, let me mute myself.
Okay. Yeah, something which I talk very openly as well. When you get rejected from a job, yes, let's do it generic, right? When you get rejected in your personal lives and in your professional lives, if you're getting that feedback again and again and again, right? If it's the same feedback, instead of, like, I think we talked about it, instead of taking it personally, unraveling it into smaller manageable parts, that really helps. What we start doing is, what will my friends say? What will my parents say? What will my teammates say? Right? What will, if I'm not promoted, I'm still here. They are directors, senior directors. What will people say? Am I not smart enough? I am currently, doing this, that, and all that stuff. As a coach, that's why I say, that is probably your indication as well that you need help, be it from your friend, be it from your, if it's personal, or it's starting to mentally bother you, help, get that help, right? Outside help. Or if your career help, get a coach as well. What does a coach does? It helps you unpack your fears, and try to show that, there's a big road, as we say, and with no white lines, so it's all yours. A coach helps to push you so that you stay in that particular road, unravel, break them down into small pieces. You got to know, okay, what do you think out of the product management, behavioral leadership, your coding interview, which one was that? Let's focus a little bit, right? What we start doing it is we start bundling everything together. And I got a rejection. I got that. We regret to inform you. No feedback, nothing. But then as a person, you know it. What are your strong strengths? What are your opportunities to improve? So a coach kind of gets that opportunities to improve out from you and put that in small buckets, and then start bringing, making that chain, right? And that where you're able to unpack those fears and then go forward. So that was another thing which I wanted to state. Another thing which has happened to me is I lose focus. So I think you talked about your learning disabilities as well. I had a brain trauma. I never knew about this, that I'm this, my back home in India, nobody cared. They knew that I was like always getting the gold medals. I was working really hard, more hard than my siblings. That's another story for another day, because I was having that blended syndrome in myself. They never knew that I have a learning disability. It was just 5, 6 years back when I had the brain trauma and I had a brain surgery. That's when it happened that I'm dyslexic. I'm dyslexic in a different way, and dyslexia is not only that I cannot read correctly. What happens is now you're quiet, but in a big meeting, when there are multiple people speaking, I lose it, folks. I lose it in big meetings. I have my captions on. I have to listen very carefully, and sometimes I have someone who's helping me to stay on course. Like now my peers know it and they'll say, Harpreet, they're talking about this. Right. So do not, I know that's another thing. You may have some disability which is not visually, you cannot see that this person is. You like, Harpreet, she is amazing. And I am. I'm not saying I say it out proudly, right? Like that's my strength now, because I have got such a creative mind. It's like, how do I shed this creative mind? That's my problem, folks. Right. So I would say unpack those fears, unpack those fear, get that inner focus, block out those distractions, and stay calm and say, I'm going to do this. Even if you get a rejection, cry it out, as we said, cry it out, all those things, then come out and say, I can. Like this positive reassurance really helps. If not, come to me. I will give you the positive reassurance.
And share with us, how do people find you? I've got your LinkedIn URL here. And then after we're offline, because I don't know, for all of you tuning in, if you realize I've got like 4 monitors up right now. I've got my phone, but I'm so intently listening that I don't want to be multitasking. So I'm going to get to everybody's comments and questions that weren't relevant to the rejection conversation afterwards. But aside from people following you on LinkedIn, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is a great way, but then why blend in? It has a tab which says "Contact Me," and then it gets you to a form where you can fill in the form. My team looks at it, and then given I have a full-time job, folks, I only take few mentees at a time, and then run them through the career coaching plan, depending upon what they need. Right? Is it a leadership role they're looking for? Is it a career, they just want to, as you said, tweak the career journey? I have a mama who is right now on maternity trying to get back.
Yep.
I just had a person, let's just talk about another experience which was eye-opening. Here is how you can change the rejections into yeses. I just have a mentee, I'm not going to name for PII, got a no. Got actually nailed the phone interview with the recruiter, nailed the technical interview with the recruiter. The recruiter came back and said, you did amazing and blah, 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 blah. But unfortunately, or we regret to inform you that that role is closed because of hiring freeze or because of internal person taken. I'm now making it a generic. Guess what we did? And this is a feedback for or guidance for all of you. Do not close the connection, folks. Our recruiters are our best buddies.
Yep.
Make them make them your best buddies. They can help you. They can make and break as well. We just sent an email out. We said, I'm so sorry this happened. I was looking forward for this. I so wanted this job. And that person really wanted the job from financial perspective as well. And so we just sent a message back 2 days later. The person replied, oh yes, I have another recruiter who's looking, maybe you will be a good fit, and connected. So we literally change the
Rejection thank you
mindset.
notes are worth their weight in gold. So everybody who's still tuning in, there's like 50 people still tuning in. Send those rejection thank you notes because they are memorable.
I cannot tell you how many people connect with me on LinkedIn without a note. And most of the time, I do not even look at them.
Yep.
So if you, that's another, I think, Tegan, that will go with you as well, right? Like, I would love for, what are you looking out of from me? Like, why would I be connecting with you? Or why should, when I send a connection note, I tell that, right? Like, this is what I'm exactly looking for, like building the connection. I am a coach. I see you're a coach as well. Whatever the connection is, there always some mutual connection. If you're looking for help, that's also okay. It's okay to write, but I think making that connection where there is a little bit what's in for me when I connect with you. And that's the same thing for recruiters. Please, please, please keep them in connection. They are human. We forget that they are giving us the wrong message or they're giving us a no. They are humans. They're amazing people. I still remember my recruiter, right? Because they can make and change your life as well. So, I would say network, network, network. Do not burn those bridges. They can change and shift our lives in positive ways.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we are going to come to a close. And with that, is there any advice that you would like to give for everyone tuning in?
One thing, as I talk about rejection, I would say allow yourself for more than one outcome, possible outcome. Do not, I think one of the thing I would say is we get so fixated on the outcome, that role, that title, that company, that we forget about what all we are doing to reach there. So enjoying that journey will make you feel so much proud of yourself. For example, if you have an interview coming up, enjoying this week and even being proud of yourself, that how much effort you're putting in, irrespective of the outcome. There's only two outcomes. There's yes and there's no. How can you change? If it's a no, how will you change that no to a yes in upcoming weeks? If it's a yes, again, folks, here's my last thing. If it's a yes, pave the path for others.
Yes.
Be that force multiplier. And that's how you will say, why blend in when you're born to stand out? That's how you're going to be standing out. When you get that yes, how are you paving the path for thousands of others? And if there are women here, and especially BIPOC, women of color, please, please pave the path. There are not too many of us out here. Let me state it. Grass is always greener, as I say. There are not. People will say there are not. It's changing like at a ant space. If you want to change it at or snail space, what's faster than a snail? My mind can't think, right? Like if you want to take the leaps like how frogs do it, we need your help. And all men allies, please, you know, give everyone the equal opportunity. Keep that unconscious biases. It doesn't matter how we look, it doesn't matter, it's what we bring to the table that matters. And if you're rejected because of something like that, because I have been, guess what?
It wasn't the right place for you anyways.
Yeah, you should actually be happy. When you look back, you will be like, thank God, because you wouldn't have grown. It would have impacted your mental health. It would have impacted your family. It would have just not been right. You don't want to work in a place which is where you are just accepted and not celebrated. You want to go where you are celebrated and not just tolerated, folks.
Yep. Exactly.
That would be my advice. I know I went that's my rambling.
I loved all of it. Well,
That's my
on
rambling.
that note, Good people know good people. So everyone who is in these comments, go back after this live, connect with each other. Use the advice to send a personalized connection request. Hey, Aaron, I saw you were also on Tegan and Harpreet's LinkedIn Live. See that you are a teacher transitioning as well. Would love to connect. Maybe there's some synergy here that we can help each other out. Whatever it may be, make it personalized to them. Show them that you are invested in them, that there is a reason why you want to connect outside of just boosting your numbers. Because when good people know good people, good things happen. So next week, if you would like to tune in, Friday, 11 o'clock Central Time, I am going to be joined by 5 or 6 other ladies to talk about how to break into project management, program management, and product management. So the PMs, which you're in as well, but we've had so many people looking to pivot into this industry or to grow in these roles, especially with all these tech layoffs. And so be sure to check it out because it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for us to come together as a community to lift each other, to sponsor each other, to open doors for other people. So for everybody tuning in, thank you so much. And we will see